VMAX, and I refuse to believe anyone thought that was the deck that we were going to show you. And it is a proper Rayquaza VMAX deck. There's a 2-2 line, there's actually a 3-2 line of Armor Rouge, which that's the Pokemon that moves all your fire energy, or as much as you like, to your active. There is a, oh my word, that is a very bad start.
Oh no, Liam!
There are only 3 Arceus V-Star in the deck, so they're all prized right now.
All of them, and so Liam will not be able to go the traditional route of energy acceleration, but I might remind everybody at home that Arceus V can accelerate energy, just not quite as effectively.
But then there's no Starbirth to go and search for those 2 cards. Like, Arceus V-Star is really the engine of this deck. Having all 3 of them prized is... We've had some rough prizes and some players on stream this weekend. This might still be the worst among them. Prizing 3 out of 3 Arceus V-Star is harsh. There's also a Delphox V in the deck and Radiant Heatran, but I do already worry about how this is going to go. Aleksander playing a far more traditional Roaring Moon, like you just did a whole mirror match of, Amy.
I know! You know what? I clearly can't get enough of Roaring Moon. I'm clearly obsessed, but maybe it's just a moon phase.
Might be. We got a Battle VIP pass coming in here, and then we got the traditional turn 1, having a look through the deck, trying to figure out what's available and what's prized. With a Galarian Moltres in the active, not a terrible starter by any stretch of the imagination. And you're probably going to go for, one would imagine, a Roaring Moon and maybe some support Pokemon.
Yeah, we might see that coming to fruition. Aleksander just having a look through the deck there, making sure they know their own prizes and checking on how Roaring Moon is going to soar its way to victory on this occasion against a very unexpected deck. But I do worry for the VMAXs in Liam's deck.
That's one of the things that worries me with this deck is, if we have a look at the matchup, Liam has other attackers, like I say. You've got your Arceus V-Star, which is an attacker, but doesn't really KO Roaring Moon. Delphox V does 120 active, 120 to the bench, but there's not really anything other than Morpeko that you're going to KO with that. Even Radiant Greninja's got 130. So, against someone like Roaring Moon, you kind of are relying on your Rayquaza V Max to hit really hard and get KOs. But then again, Roaring Moon gets an instant one-hit KO on a free prize Pokemon, so... It does seem a little bit rough from Liam in that regard, in that the only thing you've got that can really reliably KO an undamaged Roaring Moon is your Rayquaza, which is a free prizer, and Roaring Moon loves coming against it. You know, we've had a couple of interviews of Roaring Moon players already so far, and they have said how they love those 2 and free prize decks. Of course, we also need to remember all 3 Arceus V-Star are prized. That is so harsh.
It's a valid attacker in this matchup too, especially with Roaring Moon dealing damage to itself. Galarian Moltres V only has 190 HP, so...
That's 220.
Oh, was it 220?
It's 220.
Oh, yeah, but it does damage to itself.
It does.
So it can also not be great, because, yeah, the reason I always think it's 190 is because
After it attacks, it goes down to 190.
So I always have to think to myself, can I survive my own attack? It's an easy mistake to make.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing.
So we do see the Radiant Greninja hitting the bench here. Of course, we always see that all the time. We've got concealed cards, discarded energy card from your hand, draw 2. No Moonlight Shuriken coming in this particular matchup here. We have got the new version of Roaring Moon. It's been really popularized over the past couple of weeks, where it's just all darkness energy all the time. Ross Cawthorn showed us the way in Charlotte, and that really does seem to be the build that is prevailing here.
Yeah, it's just the old reliable, isn't it? At the end of the day, we just see that it works so beautifully. It keeps Roaring Moon relatively consistent, where otherwise it can struggle. There we are for our first Dire Flame Wings, attaching an energy to Moltres from the discard pile. And an energy switch. Galarian Moltres doesn't want that. We want it on Roaring Moon, using that nice conveyor belt system once again, straight down onto the Roaring Moon.
And this is going really well for Aleksander. This is about everything you could ask for from your first turn. You've got 2 energy on your Roaring Moon. You've got your Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. You've got your support Pokemon that you might need. That was just a good turn all around. So now it's over to Liam. He's going to do his first deck search here. And this is where Liam gets the bad news. This is where Liam figures out, hang on a second, I actually have no Arceus V-Star in my deck. And this is where it gets really awkward. Because now you have no access to Starbirth, which is the real start of your deck. And I know there are other consistency cards in the deck, but Starbirth letting you get any 2 cards we've seen over and over again. These Arceus decks, that's what they do. Turn 2 Arceus, use Starbirth, go from there. That's your goal. Then, of course, your energy acceleration becomes much more awkward because Arceus V is not as good as Arceus V-Star. Sure, you can accelerate energy, but you don't do 200 damage while doing so, and you've got significantly lower HP. Like, Arceus V is very easily KO'd by a Roaring Moon without the self damage.
Yeah.
But an Arceus V-Star isn't.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Liam's still confidently going for that second Arceus V, however, and the Radiant Heatran, which we really don't see very often, but it is a really strong attacker, as Aleksander is picking up the card to have a read to discover that actually it does 70 times the amount of damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, so that can really, really ramp up rather quickly in addition to using Magma Basin to support that damage output.
Yeah, it works beautifully with Magma Basin. Magma Basin accelerates an energy from your discard pile to one of your benched fire Pokemon at the cost of 2 damage counters. But of course, for Heatran, that's just, well, Radiant Heatran, well, brilliant. That's 140 damage.
Yeah,
that's fine. That sounds
beautiful.
all right by me. And that is another way outside of the Rayquaza that you can actually get a KO on these big Pokemon. So, I mean, what Liam really needs to try and do here is try and sneak a prize from somewhere, see if you can get an Arceus V-Star of your prizes. Good news is 50-50 chance.
That is true. We like those odds. And back onto Aleksander's turn, going in with more Roaring Moon shenanigans. I've had a thought though, Ross. Liam might have a slight advantage in that Aleksander might have no idea what's going on.
I mean, right now, Aleksander has absolutely no idea what's going on. You're correct. Seeing an Arceus deck with a Radiant Heatran, that deck doesn't exist right now.
No.
Like, we follow the game very, 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 very closely for doing our jobs, and yet we wouldn't know what that was. Like, if you sit down opposite a Radiant Heatran and 2 Arceus V, you don't know what you're playing against, because that is just not an established deck right now.
Especially in day 2.
That's the thing, right? Because if you sit down round 1, you're like, oh, okay, it's a little homebrew thing, it's fine. You sit down in round 15 against someone who's 10-2-2, and you're like, oh, I know the deck is legit because it's crushing this tournament. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane and beautifully so. I love to see a homebrew deck coming through all this way to the competition, to the final round of Swiss. This deck could make it into the top 8 if they can get out of this trap that Aleksander is setting.
I think game 1 is going to be rough. Not having access to your Arceus V-Star is going to be just borderline insurmountable. And honestly, if I'm Liam, I'm giving it a couple of turns. I'm seeing what's going on, but I know a tie in this stage isn't what I want. I'm not making top 8 with a tie. I need to get a win here. What I don't want to do is spend 15, 20 minutes losing game 1 that I knew I was never going to win because I had no Arceus V-Star, only to then win game 2 and then run out of time in game 3, have a tie, and be eliminated from top 8 contention. When you get this close, you don't really want to go, well, I still get top 16. No. At this point, you want to get top 8. You've come close enough.
You want to go all the way, and especially with a deck like this, it clearly is close to Liam's heart. I just can't imagine the feelings that must be going on in his head right now, but I'm hoping that the hope and understanding is still there. He hasn't decided to scoop the game, so there is still that, and I think the element of surprise is certainly going to help Liam through this.
Yeah, I agree with you. The element of surprise is big here. I'm just really struggling to see how he sets up. I mean, essentially, you're going to have to use Arceus V to set up, well, something, whether it's a Rayquaza or something else, but then you're basically giving up 2 prizes to do so, because Roaring Moon's now got a stadium down. Roaring Moon is just going to come down, use Calamity Storm, and hit 220 on an Arceus V and get a KO. And then go up by 2 prizes, and that's kind of while you're setting up. And that's why I'm a little bit worried here. What you really want to do if you're Liam next turn is Arceus V-Star, go and get your double turbo energy, and then go from there. But unfortunately, that is just not going to be an option. I'm just going to double check I've not misseen that, even though I know I saw it very carefully. You know, it definitely is free Arceus V-Star.
It definitely is, and 1 Rayquaza VMAX.
And there are definitely only 3 in the deck, so they really are all gone.
Yeah, they are all in there. And very well assessed there. Aleksander escape ropes. So Liam has absolutely no choice but to bring forward an Arceus V. And can they wiggle their way out of this situation? I'm just not entirely sure. There's the Delphox and our first Rayquaza V of the game, and fair enough. Aleksander's having to have a little read there. Delphox has 2 attacks, Eerie Glow and Magical Fire. It's a fantastic spread card. It can deal 120 damage to 2 targets. One has to be the active and the other obviously a benched Pokemon. And Eerie Glow allows you to burn and confuse your opponent. Strangely good for buying time, but not very effective if your opponent runs a lot of kind of switching options.
Yeah, most of the time here using it for Magical Fire, which in some matchups is going to be great for double KOs. It's just not great into Roaring Moon because you'll get more Pekko, but like I said, even Radiant Greninja sitting at 130, so you're not going to get many two prize turns here, 2 KO turns. And if I'm Liam here, you're not really establishing much of a board presence, but you have just kind of given away a bit of what your deck is. Like, you've just shown all the main parts of your deck, but you've still not established much of a board presence. You've gone down by 2 prizes, you've chucked a Charcadet in the active, which is about to get KO'd, and Aleksander here is just gonna, well, I mean, honestly, try and get a bit more energy on a second Roaring Moon. But right now, you're feeling pretty good. You KO the Charcadet, you go up by 3 prizes, hopefully get a bit more energy established on the board, and then just go ahead from there.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a steamroll from there, unfortunately, which we would expect more so from the fire types to be firing up that steam engine. But Aleksander's taking the big lead here with Roaring Moon, jumping into the action. And the poor little cadets, although they've just come out to be on duty, aren't going to be sticking around very long.
No, they are not big, powerful Pokemon. They are there for just getting your fire energy to the active. Of course, there's also a really nice combo with Magma Basin here. That Magma Basin puts 2 damage counters on the Pokemon that you accelerate the energy to. So what you can do is accelerate to something like an Armarouge. Armarouge takes the damage, but then you move the energy up to a Rayquaza, and the Rayquaza doesn't even have the damage on.
No,
and of
beautiful.
course, you cannot Magma Basin onto a Rayquaza because it's a Dragon Pokemon. But Charcadet and Armarouge just, ignore that, get it straight up to the active. Job's a good un.
Yeah, they're happy to take the downfall, being single prize Pokemon themselves. Doesn't feel that risky.
It does seem like we are heading towards an inevitability here in this first game. Liam really got nothing established so far. The energy acceleration we've got here is, and here's the boss's orders onto the Arceus, and you've got to imagine this will as good as spell the end of the game here. Getting the KO on the last remaining Arceus. You've got Magma Basin and Arceus. Those are your ways to accelerate energy, and there we see the concession from Liam. We do see Aleksander winning game 1, and look, game 2 is going to be better. Because I'm just going to say it, I don't want to curse them, I don't think I'm going to. You cannot prize all 3 Arceus V-Star 2 games in a row.
No, that was, Liam's just showing his opponent there. That all of those Arceus were prized. It's such a shame because I really want to see this deck work, and I know it can. I've had friends and Ethan who were against Liam in day 1, and they were like, Amy, you'll never believe what I saw. And I was like, what? And they described how the deck was working to me, and I was astounded. So I really want to be able to show you guys, and I hope in this game too we can.
And it's interesting to note, you know, we got a mature format here. There's a lot of decks we're expecting. Your Gardevoir, your Miraidon, your Mew, your Giratina, your Charizard, all these things that we've seen for a while, all these things that we expect. That does not mean that a player cannot come along with a very unusual deck that no one's ever seen before and do very well. I mean, if you go back a couple of years, Arceus Binder Drop was something we would say a lot, and it was basically just Arceus with whatever you wanted, and it feels like for a long time we've been going away from that now, and this is just a return to the Arceus Binder Drop days of old. This is a weird collection of cards like Delphox V, Radiant Heatran, Armarouge, cards we just really don't see very much, but they're brought together by Arceus. Saw in that first game, there's no Arceus V-Star. They're not brought together. That just didn't work.
No, we need the overarching Pokemon itself, Arceus, to lead the Pokemon to success. And unfortunately, in that instance, they were not available.
They're all available now, though.
Oh, let's go. Let's see. And starting off with a Mysterious Tail Mew is much nicer for Liam on this turn. They've decided to go first. Very typical of those Arceus decks where they need the evolution.
Yeah, you want to go first so that you can get the first evolution on your second turn, and it is really all about that V-Star power, that Star Burst from your Arceus V-Star. You get your Star Burst, and you get search for any two cards whatsoever in your deck. It makes a huge difference. So really, the only thing you're looking for if you're Liam, and there's other, well, basically you want a Rayquaza, you want a Charcadet, and you want an Arceus and an Energy. So actually there is quite a lot you want. Usually with Arceus decks, just having the Arceus is fine, but actually here you do want quite a bit more. You want to be getting your Armarouge established as early as you can. And let's not forget, Rayquaza, it's not just about the really good attack. You've also got that as your pulse ability, lets you discard your hand and draw 3 cards. So you don't need the Rayquaza V this turn, but it would be nice if you could get it.
Yeah, it would be ideal, but again, it's not essential because you're going to need to spend a turn loading it up with energy. It does make it a little bit of a safer play, but Liam knows what Aleksander's playing now, and Roaring Moon is very typical for being able to attack if they're going second.
Yeah, now the good news is you passed with just a Mew in the active, so if you give up a prize here, it shouldn't be too bad. It's a long shot. Oh no, it says too long. There is the tiniest remote possibility of gusting KO in that Arceus this turn, which would be hilarious and devastating. There's also 2 Dark Patch prized, and you cannot use both a Boss's Orders and a Professor Sada's Vitality. So I think we can probably assume that's not going to happen.
I think especially due to the prize cards, yeah, I think you're right, it's entirely too much of a stretch. And at least Liam is escape rope proof on this instance, with Radiant Heatran being able to come forward instead, and then they still get to use the Arceus V. So, you know, it's not a bad starting turn for an Arceus player. This is a very typical board state for them, and actually relatively safe.
And getting the double turbo energy on the Arceus early doors means that next turn you can attach your energy from hand, V-Star, and then generally you get 1 card plus your double turbo. That's usually how your Star Burst goes. But having the double turbo already attached means that you basically get, well, whatever you want. You don't actually have 1 card that you have to go and get, which means that you get a much wider range of possibilities, which is going to make Liam's life, there we go, a little bit easier.
Much easier. But moving on to Aleksander's turn, very much keeping an eye on what's on their prize cards at the moment. They've attached the Forest Sealstone to a Galarian Moltres V, so it does give them more options. They've gone for the Battle VIP pass off of that Forest Sealstone, and now deciding which Pokemon are going to hit the bench first. Just consulting the hand first. I always have to do that. I forget what's in my hand. I'm like, why was I doing that again? That's why these guys are up here and not me.
Well, you did start the Radiant Greninja. This is often something you'd get from an early Battle VIP pass, but no need with the Greninja already in the active. You've got a Roaring Moon. You've got 2 Roaring Moon. No, 1 Roaring Moon. You've got your Galarian Moltres. You've got your Squawkabilly. There's your Morpeko. This is honestly about what you need turn one for Roaring Moon. You want to try getting some energy established. Energy for turn, Professor Starter's Vitality, things like that. But have we already... Was that Professor's Research already played? There's a Judge and a Professor's Research in the discard pile.
I believe the...
I believe the Research was played and that discarded a Judge.
Oh, no, they were from the Pokestop.
Oh, the Pokestop.
We're getting mixed up. We're getting mixed up.
Okay, that makes way more sense. Because I don't remember seeing a supporter yet.
Yeah, there we go. So more Peko in the active. And going for the Squawk and Seas. Ooh, I don't love that. 2 energy switch. Especially when there's 2 Dark Patch. I think Aleksander is intending on going aggressive with this first turn, but I'm not sure it's paying off.
Not if you don't get what you want off the Squawk and Seas. But we do have... No, we have no energy on the board right now. We do have an extra Roaring Moon coming down, which is quite nice. But there's no energy on the board. That's what I really want this turn. I want to see energy coming down thick and fast. I want to see Dark Patches, Professor Starter's Vitality, Attachment for turn. I want to see lots of energy hitting the board. That is always what I want to see. Turn 1 from Roaring Moon. That is my number 1 goal. Now, we do see an energy discarded with concealed cards. And that's actually going to work out quite nicely. I believe there's a Dark Patch in hand. So that will be able to then reattach it. And then you can attach the turn, and then you've got at least 2 energy down.
At least that would help a little bit. It was a little stuck, yeah, a little stuck in orbit there without any energy on board at all, because you need a bit of a mix. You need some energy in hand, you need some energy in the discard pile. Moltres at least can bring that back from the discard pile, or we can use the Dark Patch. Again, Aleksander has very limited Dark Patch, but then they've also limited themselves without many... energy switch either, so I don't know. This could be this could end up not quite in Aleksander's favor if they have overused those resources too early in the game. If they give Liam the time to catch up, this could be scary.
It could. One thing to note, we've got plenty of time left. We got almost half an hour, but our first game did take near enough 15 minutes. So if this game does go on for a little bit, we might not see a conclusion. And again, tie is not good enough for the players here. We need to see a conclusion to this game. Winner of this should be booking their space into top 8. We'll try and keep you up to date of any other relevant games that are going along. We're a little bit early at the moment. But like I say, there's 3 players we think we're feeling very good about in top 8. So from there, it's just... trying to make sure that we can figure out who else is going in there. We feel good about Magnus Pedersen, Joshua Van Overschelde, and Fabrizio Inga Silva.
Yeah, got a couple of confident names going in there, but can or will we find another one in this match?
Oh, we see another Dark Patch. Is that 2 Dark Patch now?
Yeah, that's 2, so that's all of them used up until they managed to take some prize cards.
But has somehow managed to draw enough cards, maneuver around, get free energy on the Roaring Moon with an Ancient Booster Energy Capsule for what it's worth. So now we can just come into the active and bonk that Mew on the head, and he's gone, he's out of the way.
Yeah, I gotta say that the poor Mew would not take well to a Roaring Moon. Certainly has scared it off, and Arceus is being promoted already with a double turbo energy, which is nice. Looks like Liam has the V-Star in hand, which is very lucky because otherwise it was looking a bit horrible. So they do now have the attachment of the fire energy, and they can Starbirth and Trinity Nova.
Yeah, already 2 prizes down though with that Mew EX having gone down, so it's not ideal. We got Starbirth, which is lovely, but then the problem is, like here, we know what Arceus likes to do. Turn 2, you Starbirth, and then you Trinity Nova and accelerate a bunch of energy. The problem is, if you do that here, you are going to go 4 prizes down. Roaring Moon will frenzy gouging you. That will 100% happen if you leave this Arceus in the active. So It really does seem like Aleksander. It seems like Roaring Moon is not really what this deck is built to beat. It does seem like this is a really awkward matchup where you're losing prizes early, you're not able to do your thing with Arceus as nice as you would be able to. And if you're not using Arceus, you're just relying on one energy acceleration per turn with Magma Basin. That's not enough.
It really isn't. They've gone for the disruption of an Iono, hoping that maybe that will stop Aleksander in their rampage of Roaring Moon. Here we go. Liam gets a nice fresh 6. They haven't taken a prize card yet, and Aleksander will be down to 4 cards in hand after popping some to the bottom of their deck. Iono, one of the better and easier to play disruption cards in format. We see the first Char Cadet come to attention on the bench, and our first Magma Basin of the day, of the match, I should say, onto Radiant Heatran.
Yeah, that's going to help put a little bit of pressure on and be threatening. I mean, honestly, next turn you can attach, and then you can use Magma Basin again, and then you're actually hitting 280. Now, the good news is, if Frenzied Gouging comes down here, it will be a double KO, unless it's a Frenzied Gouging on another Roaring Moon, which is exactly what I'm looking at Aleksander to be planning here. But we did actually lose those 2 energy switch very early in the game here. So maybe I was a little bit too bullish on the potential of a Frenzied Gouging, because obviously that is the goal here.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. But it's going to be hard to get a second Roaring Moon set up with your 2 energy switch gone and all of your Dark Patch used. And if you just go ahead and do this here, you are self-KOing to do so.
Aleksander doesn't have the most fantastic hand right now either. They're going to Ultra Ball, leaves them 2 cards left in hand. They've already used their V-Star ability, so there's very little they can do with this hand, I feel. They kind of can't do much. They might be able to draw some cards with Greninja. I think that might have been an energy as the last card in their hand, but I'm not sure there's enough in deck right now that I think there's kind of too much in deck right now, so they have chosen to thin a little bit by taking another Galarian Moltres V. Again, it's just going to kind of sit in the hand for a while, though, because the bench is a full moon. There is no space left.
I'm just looking. Liam's actually got potentially a quite easy prize map here, because if you can take a KO with the Arceus, or there is a double KO here with a Frenzied Gouging, you've then got Heatran for 1 KO, Rayquaza for 1 KO, and that's all she wrote. That's the game finished off. I mean, Heatran's going to be hitting 280 next turn. Rayquaza does 20 damage base plus essentially 80 more for each fire energy discarded. So that's going to be doing, you would imagine, about 260 if you needed it to, which is more than enough to KO anything on Aleksander's side of the board. And Liam's actually got a good suite of attackers set up right now.
Oh, okay, going for Professor Sada's Vitality, choosing to accelerate 1 energy from the discard pile to their Roaring Moon on the bench and draw 3 cards. I'm not sure these 3 are going to be enough to save them, but let's have a look. We got an energy, and I can't tell what that...
Energy switch would be huge here.
I don't think we got one. I don't think we got one.
No, there's an energy something in the middle of his hand.
Ooh.
If that is an energy switch, then I think we're good. So you can attach for turn, you can energy switch from your damage Roaring Moon, and then you can go Frenzied Gouging.
Oh,
and even though you've got 2 heavily damaged Roaring Moon, you're 4 prizes up.
Yeah, no, I think you might be right. I think that is an energy switch.
Called it.
Incredible. So they do avoid that kind of return KO, the immediate return KO, and manage to KO the Arceus V-Star, but they will be leaving a lot of damage left over on another Roaring Moon.
Do you know what I want to see right now? I want to see Delphox.
Because
you know how I said a minute ago how this is not a matchup set up for Delphox?
Oh, you're
well,
wrong.
This is a board state which is currently set up really, really nice for Delphox.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that is such a revelation, Russ.
I think about Delphox more than most people think about Delphox, I'll be honest with you.
I don't know what to think about that, Russ. I'll be honest with you.
My daughter might be 5, but I tell you, she already knows who Delphox is.
Oh, my word.
There's an escape rope coming down from Liam here.
So, yeah, no, we're not going to see the Delphox right away. Don't think they have access to it right now, but
No,
going for the
Liam's
Radiant
hand.
Heatran, it's kind of bad.
Yeah, but Liam's hand has nothing going on here.
No.
We've got a couple of energy, an Arceus V-Star. What's a fourth card there?
I honestly, I think it's just an energy. I don't think there's nothing. Yeah, there's a Lightning Energy, a Fire Energy, a Palpad, and an Arceus V-Star. So there really isn't a lot going on at all, upsettingly.
Oh, and you wouldn't need too much. You would literally just need Armarouge and Delphox.
Yeah, and you've got this in the bag.
And then your Armarouge would be able to move all your energy over to your Delphox, and job would be a good one. But Liam's hand doesn't have it. Now, if you get Rayquaza V-Star, then you do have your access to Azure Pulse, which will let you discard your hand and draw free. But it's not a Rayquaza V-Star right now, it's a Rayquaza. So Liam's actually drawn pretty horrendously this game after a decent start. And it does look like Aleksander is absolutely in the driver's seat. We were set up for a fantastic 4-prize KO from Delphox. It just never worked.
No, that's so upsetting.
And I'm sorry, but Raging Blast doing 280 onto a Morpeko, that is not what you're going for. That is supposed to be KOing a fresh Giratina V-Star.
Yeah.
Or a Roaring Moon, or something along those lines. That is not what Radiant Heatran is there for.
Heatran's like, Morpeko, what are you doing here in the active? I wasn't expecting to see you. I'm so sorry, buddy. Because honestly, you weren't the target.
Sorry, Morpeko.
Sorry, little buddy. And the Armarouge hasn't got fired up at all this match.
No, we've not. And it's the Evolutions that's been letting Liam down. There's no Armarouge. I mean, literally, Rayquaza V-Star here would have made such a big difference because it gives you that opportunity to just reset your hand, and that would have been huge. But didn't have it, and now it really does just seem like a matter of time. Like, Aleksander can just take a KO with the active Roaring Moon. Now, you will need to get a couple more energy on the board. But then you can just frenzied gouging, and it doesn't even matter if you self-KO because you'll still win the game.
No, I think it looks like Aleksander's contemplating using an Earthen Vessel here. We saw it go to the discard pile for a moment, but then...
That does look like we've got an ongoing judge call, so we're going to bring it back to us for a minute while we let the judges do their thing and figure it out. I'll be honest with you, Amy, I did not see what the judge call was. I have no idea what's going on. But you know the deal by now, ladies and gentlemen, sitting at home, all you lovely folks in the chat. As soon as we know, we'll pass it on. We're good like that. We want to know, and when we know you want to know, so we'll tell you so you know and we know and everybody knows and everybody's good.
I saw the Earthen Vessel go to the discard pile, and because I was about to say something about it, it might have been that, because then it was back in the hand when I looked back, so I don't know what happened there. Might have been the Earthen Vessel.
I have absolutely no idea, and I don't like to guess for this unless I'm 100% sure, but I'm going to be honest with you, right? This game's making me a little bit sad.
I know, me too.
Because, and it's not because I'm cheering for one player or another, it is because we've got a really fantastic, unique deck that we didn't know what it was. It was listed as unclassified when we were looking at deck lists. So we clicked in on the deck list, we saw what it was, and we were like, yes, let's have this. And then we're not getting to see it. It's not doing what it's supposed to do.
The evolutions, man, where are they? Where are the evolutions from?
I mean, it looks like we might end up finishing this out with one KO from a Radiant Heatran, no Delphox, no Rayquaza VMAX, no use of Armarouge's ability whatsoever. This is not what we wanted when I put this on stream.
No, and I love your call of being able to use the Delphox, because that would currently, with the current board state, take 4 prize cards. It would just kind of whoop, and Liam's back up to scratch. But the fact there's no Armarouge, we do have the Magma Basin, but is it going to be enough? Like, I don't know if it's still too late, but I would have loved to have seen that Delphox come to fruition. Now, there is a Charcadet on the bench. We could be in Top Deck City, we could get a Professor's Research, it would be beautiful to see. I would love to see a little comeback from Liam, even if it's just at the end. I'd really love to see that come back.
I just like seeing decks work the way they're supposed to work.
Yeah.
I like seeing decks doing their thing. I like players being able to showcase and basically go, hey, look at my deck. Look how cool this is. Look at all the things I can do. I like seeing players showing off all the cool plays they can make with the decks that they've built. And it does does make me a little bit sad sometimes, and we don't get to, unfortunately, see it. But we've still got a little bit of time left. We may yet get a surprise, but it does look like we are back into the game, and we'll just get some confirmation in a minute of exactly what happened at the end of it. For now, we are back with Aleksander, and there's those 2 heavily damaged Roaring Moon that right now seem okay.
Okay.
Just shuffling up here a little bit.
Ooh,
I mean, we need to see some energy. Couple more energy on that Roaring Moon on the bench essentially creates a checkmate scenario.
And those who are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this afternoon might notice that Liam has been granted 2 fewer prize cards to take, as Aleksander did get a double prize penalty there for slow play. It is not the first time that it has been mentioned, henceforth the penalty. So Liam only does now need to take 3 prize cards to be the victor and will not be taking the final 2. But is Aleksander just too far ahead?
I mean, no, not if Liam can get a Delphox.
Come on, Liam, we
no,
want the
Delphox would
Delphox.
legit end the game right now. That would take 4 prizes. That's 1 more than he needs to take. And then we would be going to a game 3.
I want to see that game 3. I want a Delphox up in here.
We literally just need, I mean, assuming a KO here, well, it's going to be anyway, we're going to need Delphox, Armor Rouge, Pivot. Those 3 cards will end the game for Liam on his next turn. I don't believe Aleksander's going to be able to finish it out this turn. With a boss's orders, would be able to do it still. But I think we've used Professor Sada now. Okay, so I did say free energy on the bench Roaring Moon would create a checkmate situation. That was before the double prize card penalty. Now there is actually a chance for Liam to win, but Liam needs to take 3 prizes on his next turn. If he doesn't, that's his only win con at this stage.
Liam just needs to get that, and the only way they're going to take 3 prize cards is by getting multiple knockouts on 1 turn, and we need to see that magical fire come on through. We need the magic.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure. Yeah, they're both easily in range of a Delphox at this stage. But the biggest issue we've got is the same reason we didn't see it in the previous turn.
Yeah.
Liam's hand is terrible.
Yeah.
Even something like a Rayquaza VMAX here would mean that you could discard your hand, draw 3 cards, and then maybe there's a supporter. Maybe you can start working towards this. It's not a huge combination, but Liam's not going to top deck a Delphox and an Armor Rouge and a Pivot. So Liam needs to get something like a supporter card or a Rayquaza VMAX or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's going to have to happen. And there we go, going for the knockout, taking away the Magma Basin, which does put another piece in the puzzle for Liam, potentially. They only got a Nest Ball.
I don't think that's going to do it.
I'm not sure. They're going in quite confidently. I feel like they might have some trick up their sleeve, but I'm honestly not 100% sure. There's the Delphox! At least it's here. At least it's here. Liam sees the line of play.
I mean, the Delphox is the win con here, but you need the Armor Rouge to get the energy onto it.
Oh, there's research!
I did not see the research in hand. Well, that's huge now.
Oh my goodness, we might see a game 3. I would be so excited. I honestly wouldn't be able to contain myself.
Energy or Magma Basin and Armor Rouge.
Come on, there's a lot to ask for. There's Armor Rouge. No.
Now, but there's Rayquaza VMAX, which lets you discard your hand and draw 3 more cards.
Let's do it, let's do it.
So it's not over yet.
It's not over yet. Thin the deck, yes, yes, yes. Nest Ball, let's go.
Now,
Love
annoyingly, so Rayquaza's got a retreat cost of 2. You need free energy on the Delphox. So we need an extra energy on the board or a Magma Basin to get an extra energy on the board. And then that would mean we don't need a pivot. So we need an energy or a Magma Basin or a pivot and a Charcadet.
Oh.
That is a combination we need to finish this off.
Oh, we've got the Armor Rouge in hand, so that's fine.
Okay, so, yeah.
Oh, wait, are they discard? Oh, I think that's a Chi-Yu. I think I missed.
Yeah.
Apologies, that
we need
was
an Armor Rouge. There's an energy. There's an Armor Rouge! I think that should be it. You attach the... As long as we have an attach for turn...
No, we don't have the Magma Basin.
We don't need a Magma Basin.
Don't we?
We can attach the Lightning... If we have an attach for turn, we can attach Lightning Energy, retreat Rayquaza VMAX, use the Armor Rouge to put the free fire energy onto the Delphox, but have we already attached for turn?
I think the Lightning Energy was an attach for turn on the Rayquaza VMAX, yeah.
That's the key thing. If we haven't attached for turn...
I'm pretty sure Liam has.
Oh, so it's not. Oh, that's such a. Oh, that's so
such
annoying.
A bummer. No.
I did not know. Oh, that's. Oh, the magma basin would have been huge there. That would have done it.
Yeah, that's why we needed the magma basin, because the attach return had already happened on the Rayquaza. I think Liam was thinking, okay, if I attach the Rayquaza, then it is a potential. Oh, it's just, yeah, it's. I suppose, actually, thinking about it, Aleksander does need to put a bit of legwork in, because they can't. Well, they can.
Yeah, they can just frenzy gouging.
They can just frenzy gouging, but then both. Then it will be into a tiebreaker game.
No, Liam needs 3 prizes. Frenzied gouging would only.
Liam needs 1 prize.
Oh, of course. I keep forgetting about the
Double prize penalty.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So Aleksander does have a little bit of work here, unless they want to go to a tiebreaker game.
I don't want to go to a tiebreaker game if I'm Aleksander. I want to win straight away.
So Aleksander's going to push for it. You bet. But they've used a lot of resources here. They've not got a lot left. I don't know if they can make another Pokemon that can hit the damage the Rayquaza VMAX requires. Look at that HP, 320 HP on a Rayquaza VMAX. Like, it kind of feels like Roaring Moon or nothing at that point. Oh,
no, it looks like there is a boss's
there's
orders.
A boss.
That's onto the Armor Rouge.
Okay.
And then that should.
Yeah. Oh, it only does 100 damage, and there's no stadium in play. If they frenzied gouging, then yeah, both. Oh, I think they've gone for it. Have they gone for the frenzied gouging as a tiebreaker game? I have no idea. I think it looks like they're talking to the judge.
We're going to need a confirmation on the ruling here.
Because Armor Rouge has 130
Is there
HP.
a possibility that because Aleksander is 1 game up, then this essentially gives a. You get around it? Let's just get some confirmation on exactly what is happening here.
Yeah, we got a tiebreaker game.
We are going to a tiebreaker game. We do have confirmation we are going to a tiebreaker game here.
Ooh.
Because, of course, we did get the double KO. And this is something that doesn't really happen with anything other than Roaring Moon.
No, but Roaring Moon can force those strange situations where it comes down to the deck that can take the first KO. Now, we've seen Roaring Moon miss it, even going second. So Liam may be choosing to go first if they win the coin flip here, because we do start an entirely new game, so a new coin flip will happen. Whoo, I'm not sure how it go here.
I mean, most of the time in a tiebreaker game, you've got to give it to Roaring Moon here.
You're
it's
right.
a faster deck, the more aggressive deck. You expect it to take the first couple of prizes. You know, Liam's deck here, it's a fantastic deck, don't get me wrong. We love the deck from Liam here, but it's a deck that takes a couple turns to set up and then goes off. So I don't love my chances in a tiebreaker game if I'm Liam.
I don't either, if I'm honest, but you only do need to take 1 prize. You don't need to take 2. So I feel like Liam might get by on being able to take a single prizer if Aleksander does not manage to get a KO on their first attacking turn.
And of course, it is obviously interesting that you're going to be using your Starbirth. And if you can get an Arceus Energy turn 1, turn 2, you just get your Arceus V-Star.
Yeah.
And then you Starbirth for your double turbo and a boss's orders. Go and grab a little Pokemon off the bench. And maybe that can be how Liam kind of finishes out this nice and quickly.
Yeah, Aleksander did just have to give a mulligan to Liam. So Liam is going to have an extra card in their hand that might help them towards this. And oh, Liam's got a Magikarp. We love to see some Magikarp love.
Yeah, no, everyone loves Magikarp.
He's the best.
Yes.
What a cutie. A second mulligan. This might give Liam the little nudge they need to be able to win this tiebreaker match. But again, Roaring Moon is just so vicious. Aleksander could just have this.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Liam really needs to go first here. Because or... No, I'm just thinking about maybe going super aggro with Radiant Heat Tram, but even then it's a 2-turn thing. It's attach, and then it's Magma Base and attach. So no, I don't think even that can do it. I think I think Liam needs 2 turns, so you probably have to go first and just hope Aleksander doesn't get the ridiculous turn 1, which he probably will. But I think that's the best you can probably hope for.
Okay.
And remember,
Oh.
Radiant Grid Ninja down is a problem potentially. One important thing to note in a tiebreaker game, we still set 6 prizes out. Part of the reason for that is because of cards like INO here, where that could put both players down to a 1-card hand, and that'd be really annoying. We have seen it with tiebreakers in the past. The rules changed a few years ago so that now you put 6 prizes out, not 1. And it is because of cards like INO or N in the past, if you're old like me and remember. It's to stop things like that just grinding the game to a halt.
Yeah, I think that's really crucial. And also, it kind of just feels a bit more fair and reflective of how tiebreaker games should go. It should be an entire reset of the match. And that includes the prize cards. That includes one of the core principles of Pokemon trading card game, the fact that what if it's prized? You always have to be asking yourself that question, you know?
Absolutely. So it does look like Liam didn't get an energy on the Arceus, but did get an Arceus down. And if I'm Aleksander, I am not benching a Morpeko at any point for any reason. That Morpeko is not hitting the bench.
No chance at all. Currently, Aleksander's hand looks flush with energy and kind of energy retrieval. But ace cards and 2 Roaring Moon going to the discard pile from the Pokestop.
Ooh, that is rough. There is one in hand.
There is one in hand, thankfully. So they're not needed.
I mean, yeah, maybe not in a tiebreaker game.
Not in a tiebreaker game, no.
But still, that's harsh.
Regularly, ouch.
Oh, and it looks like we've had a very slow... But I don't see how Liam gets any kind of KO here.
I'm not sure either.
Oh. I think it's still not enough, but it'll help a little bit. I mean, Armor Rouge is... I think Armor Rouge is the way here.
Yeah.
Because you need to try and get some extra energy. Basically, you get free fire energy on a Rayquaza, and that hits like 260 at that point. But you're only going to...
for Mew.
But you still need a set... yeah, you need the Armor Rouge, because you need to be able to Magma Base onto a fire Pokemon and then move it onto the Rayquaza. So even though you can hit 180 with 2 energy, you still need to get that other energy on there. Like that other fire energy on. So it does look like we got a star... What, is that a star?
Pokestop.
Oh, Pokestop. Okay, that makes more sense. So we do just hit for 80 here.
Oh.
Not sure how much I love that.
I'm not a huge fan, to be honest. I think it actually gives Aleksander more flexibility because they're now going to be able to use Dark Patch. Whereas before, because Mew was on the bench and Roaring Moon isn't exactly the easiest thing to retreat in the world, it was unavailable.
We do see old Dark Patch gets an energy switch.
I think that's it.
2 Dark Patch, we've got energy switch.
Attach for turn.
Okay, this could be the end here. I mean, to be fair, 320... Well, I suppose you're just going to frenzy gouging, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. Just frenzy gouging.
But if it's just the first person to take a prize...
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah.
It's not just simultaneous KO?
Yeah, it's a KO. It's KO, it's KO. You take prize card, so...
So there's the free energy, there's the KO, and Aleksander will take this 2 games to 0. And that is a shame for Liam, who brought this very creative deck. Seems to have fallen at the last hurdle without ever really showing us on stream what his deck was made of. But shout out to Aleksander. And I think it's fair to say, and Shay called this right at the beginning of the weekend, Roaring Moon is really starting in the ascendancy now.
Massively, absolutely. The sun has set and here comes the moon.
Yeah, absolutely. The moon is coming out. And it's a very powerful card. It feels like people, and we see this with decks sometimes, just didn't know the best way to play it, didn't know the best way to build it, didn't exactly know what to do with it.
Yeah, the power was there. We understood. We went, oh, yes, that's a fantastic card. Now what?
And it took Ross Cawthorn, who I'll be honest with you, I've been confused with more than once. We're both Rosses into the Pokemon TCG, of course. But getting that top 8 finish in Charlotte last weekend and kind of just showing people, look, no, just go Darkness Energy, just go consistent and fast. That's what Roaring Moon is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And we've really been seeing it on stream all weekend. This has been how Roaring Moon has really been building up so far. It's been fast, it's been aggressive, it's been consistent. We know Josh has made it into top 8 with Roaring Moon, or we assume Josh has. We've now just put Aleksander seemingly into top 8 with Roaring Moon as well. And it seems like, you know, after having one Roaring Moon in top 8 in the past, like 3 tournaments or something silly, we're going to have multiple Roaring Moon actually finding their way, I should say, into top 8 at this tournament.
Honestly, it's why it became one of my caster picks, is that I just saw it as this really aggressive deck that was beginning to come out with slightly different builds. Once that foundation was built, everyone's been building upon it. So although Ross laid the kind of ground floor for us, everyone's now been building on top of that. And each time it seems to be getting better at these tournaments, seems to be doing better, more consistency, more practice, more good matchups, and I think that's the key.
And I think I owe you guys an apology. I was assuming that Joshua and Fabrizio were going to be intentionally tying. That's what we were expecting. They actually didn't. Josh lost to Fabrizio, who goes on a ridiculous 39 points into top 8. Josh may now be out. Lauren Van Brex is on 36 points and seems safe at this stage, absolutely safe. Brent Tonneson is on 37 points. And then, of course, we just put Aleksander. So those 4